at some time or another, have agonized over making a decision. Some decisions are major decisions. And also there are a lot of small decisions that we don't make, that they tax our minds, they drain our energy, they create a lot of anxiety and nervousness and mental torment because we don't take care of it. We decide not to decide, which is a decision. Deciding to decide, to act, is a major, major challenge for all of us at different points in different areas of our lives. And there are things that happen to us along the way, experiences that we have that prevent us from working through the mental block of acting.
Between the acting of a dreadful thing and the first motion, all the interim is like a phantasma or a hideous dream. Between the acting of a dreadful thing, between the moment when you are waiting to do something that you don't want to do, and the first motion, and the moment when you initiate the action, all the interim, the whole time you are waiting to take that action, is like a phantasma or a hideous dream, is like an evil specter, an apparition, a nightmare. So the battle, the struggle, the hesitation takes place in that moment. That moment when we must step into the unknown.
It is our attitude toward life which will determine life's attitude toward us. Let's face the fact honestly that we shape our own lives, and the shapes of them will be determined by our attitudes. A person with a poor attitude toward learning, for example, isn't going to learn much until he changes his attitude. If we take the attitude that we cannot do something, we generally will not do it. An attitude of failure, and we're whipped before we start. So we know then that what we receive from life, what we accomplish or fail to accomplish, is due in large measure to our overall attitude. William James of Harvard University put it this way: "The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind." And isn't it wonderful that we have this measure of control?
If you don't have a lofty ambition, then you suffer miserably. And the reason for that is life is really complex, short, finite, full of suffering, and beyond you. You know, people often say life is meaningless. It's like, no, it's not. That's wrong. Because if it was meaningless, that'd be easy. You could just sit there and do nothing and it wouldn't matter. When people say that life has no meaning, that isn't what they mean. What they mean is, I'm suffering stupidly and intensely and I don't know what to do about it. Well, the suffering is meaningful. It's just not the kind of meaning you want. So how do you get out of that? You note the baseline of suffering. And then you say to yourself, okay, I need to do something that justifies that.
Where your life is right now is not you. That's just what it is right now. But the possibilities for you are unlimited if you're in a rebuilding process.
Life is going to see how bad you want what you say you want. Impose your will on it. Life will give in to you if it knows you're serious about whatever it is that you're trying to do. Life will give in to you. Whenever you start, you make sure you finish. If you do not kill me, you will not stop my drive. No petty adversity will not stop me. I have to complete every mission that I set out on.
Dark side is something that's in everybody, but it's a situation that you have to control the dark side. If it controls you, that's when things start to go real bad. That's when you have a tendency to go to what I call the other side. But if you harness the fuel that's from that dark side, whether it's anger, whether it's fear, and turn that into positive fuel, it'll help you really succeed at whatever you're trying to do.
There are no problems in life. They're just situations. You can either make it into a possibility or a problem. You can either you yourself become a possibility or a problem. This is a choice every human being has. But to exercise this choice, you have to be in a certain way within yourself. Within yourself, you are in a certain state of equanimity, balance and exuberance, that no matter what life throws at you, you will make it into a wonderful possibility.
If you want all these things in life and you're just thinking that by some miracle of life it's going to magically happen, you got to wake up. The only way to get what you want in life is to get to work and go and get it. To look at all your adversity and all the excuses square in the face and push yourself out of your comfort zone to achieve what you want.
You gotta stop telling yourself that you're doing enough. You have to do more. In life, it's never enough until you feel this overwhelming feeling of man, I'm outworking the crowd. I'm outworking everybody. I'm doing more. Once you get there, that's when you know you've done enough. You gotta do your best work when you're least motivated. So those days you don't want to do it, you gotta suck it the f up and do it.
From this day forward, set out to achieve greatness, not by looking for someone to give it to you, but by going through all of the blood, all of the sweat, all of the hard work, by going to work to set your own inner greatness free. No matter what anyone else has said or how anyone else has made you feel before, it's there. So you had it harder than other people, well then you're gonna have to work a little harder. But trust me when I say, you have greatness inside you.
Quite often, you just have to stand up and grab life by the throat and not let go until you succeed.
If I had to choose one pervasive mentality in today's culture that I would deem the most dangerous, I would select the victim mentality. Playing the role of the victim means pointing the finger at someone or something outside yourself for things that are going wrong in your own life. This has to do with something called your locus of control. Someone who has an internal locus of control believes that he or she can influence events and their outcomes, but someone with an external locus of control blames outside forces, other people, circumstances, or even fate for everything. Everywhere I look in today's society, it seems that more and more people have an external locus of control. For example, if someone is having trouble getting a job and they blame it on the current political or economic landscape, they are demonstrating an external locus of control. Or if they often catch colds and blame them on their coworkers or germ-riddled work environment, that's an external locus of control mindset. Another one is when someone is constantly in debt and they blame inflation or the high cost of living rather than taking responsibility for their own financial planning and budgeting. If someone goes through a divorce or bad breakup and is still in pain 5 years later and blaming it on the ex, that's an external locus of control. Essentially, we are choosing to have an external locus of control anytime that we are pointing the finger away from ourselves for anything going on in our life. Here's the problem with this kind of thinking. It takes away your power. By playing the blame game, you're effectively throwing up your hands and saying, well, I'm a victim and there's not a damn thing I can do about it. The moment you blame someone else for something you're feeling or experiencing is the moment that you give up your power. By giving your power away, you are making a decision to effectively let life happen to you. You are refusing to take responsibility for your own life. As you might imagine, that can be a very destructive pattern to set. In order to stay connected with our best self, we need to always take responsibility for what happens in our life. We need to find a way to have control, even in moments where it just seems like the world is out to get us. Sure, bad things happen that are outside of our control. But here's the key. We are 100% in control of our reactions to those things. We can choose to spiral into depression, anxiety, anger, resentment, or frustration and just pull the covers back over our head. Or we can choose to react in a way that benefits us and those around us. If we fail a test, we can analyze what went wrong and study in a more effective way before taking it again. If we keep catching a cold, we can learn about how to boost our immunity and overall health. The list goes on and on. But the bottom line is that we have a choice. Blame someone or something else that we can't control, or find a way we can take responsibility and change what we're doing so we can change the outcome.
Buddha recognized the only sin as ignorance, and by ignorance, He simply meant not knowing the difference between truth and falsehood. In other words, our only true dilemma as human beings is a lack of understanding about ourselves and the true nature of the world we live in. With more knowledge, we become more capable people. Without it, we cannot progress. The truth that we all must come face to face with is that we know very little about anything at all. Even the many things we think we know about the world may in fact be completely false. After all, how could we possibly say with certainty that we know anything if we only have access to the very thoughts that were planted in our mind since birth? What about the knowledge we have not captured? How could that change our perception of the world? We must be willing to accept the fact that we may be wrong about many things. It's okay not to know. We're all doing the best we can, so let's continue on that path and acquire the knowledge that's going to get us where we want to go. The quickest way to dispose of ignorance is to simply acquire more knowledge, however. It is important to do so with a sort of curiosity. Do not immediately accept everything you learn as fact. Use knowledge as a tool. Don't let it use you. It is easy to get trapped in a dogmatic belief system as a result of what we learn, but we must remain flexible. Life is our teacher. Let's always remember that. Change is one of the greatest symbols of strength and willpower you can find. It is easy to find examples in popular culture, movies and books, music, art, entertainment that reinforce the idea. Many speakers are great at building willpower. They often base their speeches on the stories of people who have overcome such destructive behaviors as alcoholism, smoking, and drug dependence. Although they are very valid examples of how to bring the idea to perfection, I find them too tragic. There is no substitute for willpower in any part of your daily life. You can build will by changing your habits. I view this trick as an opportunity to challenge myself. Try to get to bed earlier if, for example, you are someone who is prone to staying up late watching streaming movies or series. It may be a good idea to finish a book right before bed. Research shows that we get entertainment from the screen. If you read a book, instead of being submerged for 3 hours in front of the screen, it will take you an hour to get tired. This is because you are reading actively and not sitting still. Remember that a habit is an underlying neural connection. If you do something once, it becomes a habit. If you do the same thing over and again, it will grow stronger until it becomes an automatic action. For a week, you'll feel better. The second trick is to not be afraid of confronting temptations if you can face up to temptations without falling in. You are on the right track. This is something that can be very difficult for many people. I once read that fear only grows if it's allowed to. That sentence changed my view of life and helped me understand how things were. I became so consumed by the terrors that terrified me that thinking about them caused me to have spasms around my body. As time went on, I learned that there is no way to strengthen our will except to expose us to these things. These fears and temptations are all part of our lives. However, the real problem arises when your strength is lost or when you give up on your ability to control these situations. I take it seriously when I tell you that temptation is an infallible technique to build will. Is it possible that you are the type of person who is afraid to speak in front of others? You can reverse stage fright, as it has been shown. But you must rise to the occasion. There are instant gratifications, on the other hand, if you believe that you have everything necessary to develop your will, and you do, then what are the chances of you not getting it? Be ready to show. Pass by your favorite bakery. You might even ask for coffee. If you are training yourself to become an independent Spartan fighter, you don't need to be worried. You can do the same with other temptations. You have already taken the first steps to overcome the bad habit procrastination. Now, pile up all the tasks you need to do and try to complete them according to importance. Challenge yourself, dare yourself,